Few programs in college football history have inspired the same amount of emotion as the Miami Hurricanes. To some, Miami represents arrogance, swagger, and rebellion. To others, it represents innovation, dominance, and unapologetic confidence. No matter where you stand, one thing is undeniable. Miami football changed the sport forever. They didn't just win championships, they altered how teams recruited, how players expressed themselves, and how college football has marketed on a national scale. The Miami story is not just about dominance. It's about starting from obscurity, rising to unprecedented heights, falling under the weight of expectations, and now fighting to reclaim relevance in a modern college football landscape that looks very different from the one they once ruled. To understand where Miami is going, you have to understand where it came from. The University of Miami football program officially began in 1926, at a time when the school itself was still in infancy. Miami was a small private institution with limited resources, no established recruiting base, and no reason for national attention. For much of its early existence, the Hurricanes were simply another regional team competing without identity, consistency, or expectation. They moved between conferences, struggled to schedule major opponents, and rarely threatened the national picture. Unlike traditional powerhouses in the Midwest and Deep South, Miami had no deep football roots, no historic rivalries, and no pipeline of legacy recruits. What they did have, however, was geography, and for decades, they failed to capitalize on it. South Florida gradually became one of the most fertile recruiting grounds in the country, producing elite speed, athleticism, and raw talent unmatched anywhere else. Yet those players often left the area to play for established programs like Alabama, Notre Dame, and Florida State. Miami remained an afterthought, unable to convince local stars to stay home. That reality persisted until the late 1970s, when the university made a decision that would alter the trajectory of the program. In 1979, Miami hired Howard Schellenberger, a football coach with a vision, confidence, and a revolutionary idea. He believed Miami didn't need tradition to win. It needed identity, toughness, and control over South Florida. That belief would soon ignite a transformation unlike anything college football had seen. Howard Schellenberger's impact on Miami football cannot be overstated. Upon arrival, he famously declared his intention to build a fence around South Florida, ensuring the elite local talent stayed home. This strategy wasn't just about recruiting, it was about pride. Schellenberger sold players on representing their city, their neighborhoods, and their culture. Miami became a reflection of South Florida. Fast, aggressive, confident, and unafraid of confrontation, the mentality quickly translated to the field. In just his fourth season, Schellenberger led Miami to one of the most shocking championships in college football history. The 1983 Hurricanes, led by quarterback Bernie Kosar, entered the Orange Bowl as a heavy underdog against Nebraska. Miami played fearless football, upsetting the Cornhuskers and capturing the program's first national championship. Overnight, Miami went from anonymous to infamous. The title didn't just put Miami on the map, it announced a new era. The program reached even greater heights under Jimmy Johnson, who embraced Miami's growing reputation rather than running from it. Throughout the late 80s, Miami became college football's villain. Dominant, loud, emotional, and relentless. They backed up attitude with championships in '87 and '89, producing NFL legends and overwhelming opponents with speed and physicality. Miami's sideline celebration, trash talk, turnover swagger were revolutionary at the time. When college football demanded conformity, Miami refused, and they just kept on winning. The 90s tested Miami in ways dominance never could. NCAA sanctions, scholarship reduction, and probation threatened to dismantle the program entirely. Depth suffered, resources thinned, and expectations remained sky high. Yet Miami survived, not by overpowering opponents, but by outdeveloping them. Under head coach Butch Davis, Miami rebuilt patiently, emphasizing toughness, accountability, and elite evaluation of unrecruited talent. Slowly but surely, the Hurricanes clawed their way back into contention. By the turn of the millennium, Miami had assembled an extraordinary collection of talent, particularly on defense. Players like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jonathan Vilma, Vince Wilfork, they all embodied the aggressive identity Miami was built on. Offensively, future NFL stars filled the roster, creating a team that blended athletic dominance with disciplined execution. The pinnacle came in 2001, when Miami produced one of the most dominant seasons in college football history. Miami went undefeated, overwhelming nearly every opponent, dismantling Nebraska in the national championship game. That 2001 team is widely regarded as the greatest roster ever assembled at the college level. Miami followed that season with another national championship in 2002, cementing their place atop the sport. The Hurricanes had survived sanctions, reinvented themselves, and returned stronger than ever. But as history would soon show, dominance in college football, it's fragile. The 2003 BCS National Championship game between Miami and Ohio State still stands as the most pivotal moment in the program's history. Miami entered with a 34-game win streak, and they were seeking their third straight national championship. Meanwhile, Ohio State were disciplined and physically challenged. They were capable of beating Miami this day. The game unfolded as a tense defensive struggle, ultimately leading to double overtime. Then on third down, Ohio State was able to make a pass to the end zone that would be called for a late pass interference. Ohio State would go on to score and would go on to win the game. For Miami, the loss was devastating, not only because of the championship, but because it symbolized the closing of an era. That loss marked the end of Miami's extended reign at the top of college football. The program would never quite be the same afterwards. Following the 2003 season, Miami entered a prolonged period of instability, coaching turnover, recruitment inconsistencies, and administrative missteps eroded the foundation of what was once a sustained and excellent dynasty. As other programs modernized facilities and embraced evolving recruiting strategies, Miami struggled to adapt. The sport itself changed. Conference realignment, expanded media coverage, and increased financial investment reshaped the competitive landscape. Miami experienced brief flashes of relevance, but sustained success remained elusive. The swagger that once intimidated became now no longer a part of Miami's culture. The Hurricanes cycled through head coaches, each promising a return to glory, yet failing to deliver lasting results. By the late 2010s, Miami was no longer feared. It was remembered, a program rich in history, but starved for direction. In 2021, Miami made a pivotal decision by hiring Mario Cristobal, a former Hurricanes offensive lineman who understood the culture, expectations, and pressure that came with the job. Cristobal's approach was methodical rather than flashy. He emphasized recruiting battles in South Florida, physical dominance at the line of scrimmage, and accountability throughout the program. His goal was not to recreate the past, but to rebuild Miami in a way that could compete in modern college football. Under Cristobal, Miami has begun reclaiming its recruiting footprint and reestablishing its identity as a physical, disciplined program. While championships have not yet followed, the structure is evident. Facilities have improved, development has stabilized. For the first time in years, Miami is building towards something rather than searching for shortcuts. Coming into the 2025 season, Miami had a clear message. This team was not interested in easing its way into relevance. Early wins against strong opponents immediately caught national attention, but none resonated louder than Miami's matchup against Notre Dame. For decades, Notre Dame had been one of college football's most respected programs, a program synonymous with tradition, discipline, and national credibility. For Miami, beating Notre Dame has always meant more than just a win. It's symbolic. It's Miami's proving the swagger and speed can still overpower legacy and structure. In that game, Miami controlled the tone from the opening drive. They played fast, physical, and confident, particularly in the trenches. Where recent Miami teams had struggled, the Hurricanes imposed their will defensively, disrupted Notre Dame's rhythm, and capitalized on mistakes rather than giving opportunities. Offensively, Miami showed balance and patience, refusing to force big plays and instead letting the game come to them. The win didn't just boost Miami's record, it reshaped the national conversation. Suddenly, analysts weren't just asking if Miami was good, but how good could they be? That Notre Dame victory became the foundation of Miami's playoff resume. As the season progressed, Miami faced the reality every contender eventually encounters: adversity. The mid-season losses to Louisville and SMU didn't erase Miami's early success, but they exposed areas still under construction. Against Louisville, Miami struggled with execution in critical moments. Sustaining drives became difficult, defensive lapses appeared at inopportune times, and momentum swung too easily. Louisville capitalized on Miami's mistakes, turning small breakdowns into defensive advantages. It wasn't a loss of effort, it was a loss of discipline and consistency. The SMU game told a different story, but with a different twist. Miami entered the matchup with confidence, perhaps too much of it. SMU's tempo and unpredictability challenged Miami's defensive communication, while offensive inefficiency stalled potential scoring opportunities. Penalties, missed assignments, and failure to adjust quickly enough allowed the game to slip away. These losses weren't about being outmatched athletically. They were about execution, focus, and learning how to win when things aren't going smoothly. For a team still reestablishing itself nationally, those lessons were painful, but also necessary. What separated this Miami team from those of the past decade, though, was how they responded. Rather than unraveling after setbacks, the Hurricanes doubled down on their identity. The message inside the program became simple: control what you can control. No scoreboard watching, no playoff math, just preparation, physicality, and consistency. Down the stretch, Miami played its most disciplined football of the season. Mistakes were minimized, defensive intensity returned. Offensively, Miami leaned into efficiency rather than explosiveness. This stretch wasn't about style points, it was about survival. Miami understood that the College Football Playoff Committee would make its decision rather of emotion or history. All of the Hurricanes could do at this point was win, stay focused, and let their body of work speak for itself. By finishing the regular season strong, Miami forced the committee to take them seriously, even with blemishes on their record. When the playoff rankings were finally revealed, Miami heard its name called, and the reaction across the country was immediate. Some celebrated, others questioned it, but the committee's reasoning was rooted in substance, not sentiment. Miami was chosen because of strength of schedule, quality wins, and overall competitiveness throughout the season. Wins against high-profile opponents carried significant weight, especially when compared to teams like Notre Dame and BYU, whose resumes lacked the same combination of difficulty and consistency. Miami's early dominance, resilience after losses, and strong finish painted a picture of a team capable of competing with anyone on a neutral field. The committee didn't just evaluate record, they evaluated trajectory. Miami was playing its best football when it mattered most. That mattered. Miami's playoff matchup against Texas A&M was exactly what many expected. Physical, tense, and far from perfect, the Hurricanes struggled early. Finding it difficult to establish rhythm offensively, Texas A&M's defense forced Miami into uncomfortable situations, limiting explosive plays and applying constant pressure. Defensively, Miami bent but didn't break, absorbing blows and responding with timely stops. What defined the game wasn't dominance, it was resilience. Miami stayed composed, avoided catastrophic mistakes, and capitalized when opportunities finally emerged. Late adjustments, improved execution, and mental toughness allowed Miami to pull ahead and secure the victory. It wasn't pretty, but it was meaningful. Miami proved it could win a playoff game even when things weren't going their way, something championship teams must be able to do. Now the Hurricanes face a familiar name on the biggest stage, Ohio State. The Cotton Bowl matchup carries historical weight, serving as a symbolic rematch of the controversial 2003 National Championship game. For Miami, this isn't just revenge, it's validation. Ohio State represents structure, depth, and modern dominance. Miami represents resurgence and belief. This game is a conclusion of philosophies: Ohio State's precision versus Miami's physicality, discipline versus swagger, past versus present. For Miami, the opportunity is clear: win, and the program announces its full return to football's elite. Regardless of outcome, Miami has already changed the narrative, but with a win, they wouldn't be just back, they'd be undeniable. The story of the Hurricanes has never been a straight line. It has been a cycle of belief, rebellion, dominance, collapse, and renewal. Miami didn't just rise like other programs, it exploded onto the scene, challenged the sport's traditions, and forced college football to evolve around it. From the moment Miami built its identity on speed and swagger, South Florida pride as well, it became more than a football program. It became a symbol of what happens when confidence meets opportunity. The legacy, however, has always come with weight. For years, Miami lived in the shadow of its own history, chasing echoes of past greatness. While the sport moved forward, championships became memories, swagger became nostalgia, and for a long time, the Hurricanes were judged more by what they used to be than by what they were becoming. But this season changed that narrative, not by pretending the past never happened, but by respecting it, while refusing to be defined by it. This current Miami team represents something different. It's not built on shortcuts or hype, but on structure, accountability, and belief. The early statement wins reminded the nation that Miami can still compete with college football's most respected brands. The mid-season losses revealed flaws, but also maturity. This team didn't fold, didn't fracture, didn't lose its identity. Instead, it adjusted, responded, and finished strong, understanding that championships are earned through resilience, not perfection. The college football playoff selection wasn't a gift, it was recognition. Recognition that Miami's resume mattered, that their schedule carried weight, and that they were playing their best football when the stakes were highest. The playoff win proved something even more important, that Miami could survive adversity on the biggest stage and still find a way to win. That's not swagger, that's growth. Now, as Miami stands on the doorstep of another historic moment, the connection between past and present has never been clearer. The Hurricanes aren't trying to relive the 80s or the early 2000s. They're trying to build the next era. One on the honors, the legacy, and also the downfalls of the previous program. Whether this season ends in a championship or not, one truth is undeniable. Miami is no longer chasing relevance. The Hurricanes are once again shaping their own destiny. The past built on foundation built from the past. The present proved the belief, and the future is no longer a question on if, but when. Because when Miami football is right, college football feels different. And the U is alive again.